Hi, T Prime here. My new friend Marianne wanted me to explain za. And za is a difficult concept that has a lot to it. I gave her a quick explanation, but I do think that it deserves a more detailed explanation. So, in short, za is both the fencing equivalent of kung fu, as in a skill acquired through time and hard work, and chi in the effective use of energy and the body dynamics that go with it. However, there's also metaphysical, physical, and almost cultural elements that go with it also. The phrase that always comes to mind in my mind is finesse, artfulness, and economy. Economy being economy of motion. And I think each of those touches on one aspect of za. Za, in terms of economy of motion, is that a good technique will not have wasted movement. And because it won't have wasted movement, it will look good. A slow, clumsy lunge will not look good and will usually not be very effective. Whereas a quick, snappy lunge will be much more effective. It will look good, it will look impressive, and it will be said to have za for that reason. Every martial art has a degree of economy of motion that is prized. You know, whether they call it effortlessness, finesse, grace, poise. It's a thing in all martial arts, but with regards to fencing, you know, the phrase "grace is of utmost importance during duels" is that you need to be relaxed. You can't be tense, and you can't be graceful if you're tense. So you have to relax, you have to be finesseful, and I'd say artistic. So economy is linked to the other two, but it's a standalone thing of you have to have good technique and you have to build that up over time. And I think that's where finesse comes in that when I was being introduced to the concept of za in sport fencing, it was usually through oblique criticisms of, well, you hit the opponent, but you could have used more finesse. Well, your parry riposte worked, but it could have been done more gracefully. And so then they would go into drills like, you start with a disengage, you make it tighter, 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 until you have a disengage that is effortless, that is finesseful, and it works because there's no wasted motion, because there's economy. So finesse and economy are linked. And I would say that with regards to za, the finesse or the building of finesse and the building of za is za also. So kind of like how kung fu is both the skill that's acquired through time and hard work and the process of building that skill, za is also the building of that finesse and the resulting economy of motion. The artfulness is partially in that same way. If you're relaxed, you have an artistic beauty to it. Your fencing should have a grace and a poise to it because it's that acquired skill. But it also, I think, refers to when you've done an art long enough, you start to see it from the inside out. You start to see, ways you can bend or break the rules that I don't mean in a sporting context, but the Italian guards and inverse guards are an excellent idea in my mind. Of if someone makes a linear attack at me, I can parry for and riposte, and that's an effective attack, or effective defense. If I use preem and I block across and then cut under, that might miss their parry in response because I'm coming from a different angle. That is also za, in that is an artistry of, oh yeah, I could do this or that. I think when you have za, if you're a fencer and an opponent comes up with a stick and they practice eskrima, and they come up with a shinai and they practice aikiken, and one comes up and they practice Chinese broadsword and they have a broomstick, you'll be able to deal with those different kinds of attacks and different techniques and different mindsets because you have that thorough understanding of your art. You have that internalization, and that is za. And in the process of building up that internalization, I think that also builds a confidence, and I think classically, some would say an arrogance that is also za. So when used in a stage combat context, za is that charm and appearance of a swashbuckler. So when you think of a swashbuckler, you think of Inigo Montoya, you think of Jack Sparrow, you think of a musketeer. That is za also, and it's partially that visage, that mental picture of a swordsman, as well as the daring that they'd have. Za is a musketeer jumping on a chandelier and swinging into battle. The fact that they're not thinking, oh God, I'm up so high I could fall and die. No, they have that confidence that, no, I can do this and I can jump in and do this thing that from the outside is daring. For them, they're doing it because it has probably both a tactical aspect as well as this is a chance to show off my artistry. This is me. This is something that's unique to me. And I would say that when you think of like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Luke Skywalker, they also have a za in that Obi-Wan Kenobi has an appreciation of za in that he picks up a blaster and he automatically thinks it's uncivilized. He has an appreciation for that spirit of swordsmanship. And za, I think, is linked to each of those concepts and encompasses all of them. So as a personal example, as a fencer, I'm trying to build up more of my Scottish broadsword. So I'm training those techniques, but I'm also, growing out this musketeer-like facial hair to build up my own confidence, to build up my own za. And I think it does work in a circular manner like that, kind of how if you dress the part, you'll get the part. If you act confident, you'll be confident. You fake it till you make it. That, I think, also has an aspect of za to it. Za does incorporate that. So za has those aspects of the physical in that you have to be physically relaxed and graceful to have za and good technique. And then from that good technique, there's also that acquired confidence and skill, one might say daring, and that is also za. So yeah, it's a very complicated concept. You don't really hear it in sport fencing because they're only concerned about what wins, what wins their game. And I think that it's much more important to fencing as a whole, be it HEMA, classical fencing, your personal sword form, whether it's, lightsabers or a kukri, that overarching concept of building yourself as a fencer. I think that's also za. So it's a complicated thing. I'm still working on my za. So Marianne, I wish you the best in finding your za. And until then, take care.